Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Plenty with Sulu. Our venue partner Hatch, Hair and Makeup Estiva, our camera partner Camera Hub, be tuned to Daily Mirror Online. Hello everyone. Today our guest is Mr. Dinesh Veerakodi, Chairman HNB and International Chamber of Commerce. Today we are going to talk about Sri Lankan job market and the skill employees. Hi Dinesh, and thank you for coming for Plenty with Sulu.
Yeah, thank you Sulu for inviting me. It's a pleasure.
So this is just an informal discussion, Dinesh. So before we go forward, if I ask you to do a self-introduction, how would you like to do
I would say that I'm a professional, but a professional who believes that it is not only about making money, that you need to do something beyond your profession. So that is why I'm through the International Chamber of Commerce. I have done a lot in terms of helping SMEs and also in terms of building skills at grassroots level. And also I have had a public service career. I've been chairman of ETF. I was also chairman of the National Human Resource Development Council, and we actually developed HRD policy for Sri Lanka.
Okay.
I hope the government will make use of it because I think it's important that we invest in human resource development.
That's great. So since you are coming from that background, HR, banking, financing, I'm just going to ask you now, we are in 2021, and how do you see the Sri Lankan job market?
Well, now we are moving into a new normal, and everything is going to get virtual. In fact, when I asked this same question from Professor Dave Ulrich, he said only the physical boundaries have changed. Work has to continue. But for example, goal setting and communication and all will continue to happen, but it will be done virtually. So in terms of opportunities, I feel that this technological skills will actually play a big role. And a lot of young people and middle-aged people will have to reskill in order to survive in the new normal. And analytical skills, ability to use AI, mining data, I think will be the new skills. And so I think some of the older skills that we have acquired through our MBA, I'm sure when you did your MBA also, I think those skills are no longer relevant. So as middle-aged professionals, I think it's important for us also to reskill ourselves, given that the retirement
we need to upgrade our skills, right?
Yeah.
So do you think, because Sri Lanka has been good with our knowledge, but we have been lacking the skills, that has been happening for last 10 to 15 years. Do you think that we have to change our HR system, learning and development, and the education system to develop the skills of our youth and also the middle age?
Yeah, I think the biggest problem we have is that 300,000 people do their A-levels.
Yeah.
About 30,000 get into the university.
Yes.
And 50% are still doing arts.
Yeah.
So
agreed.
I think we have been talking about this for the last 10 years. Very little change has happened. So I think we need to start investing in this building technology degrees, more engineering, because that's where the future is, especially a country like Sri Lanka. In order to survive in the future, as you know, we have a huge problem with debt. Right? We have to build our export industries, right? So that requires skills, because if you're trying to attract the MNCs, new MNCs into this country, the skills base is important.
Yes.
Right? So I think there has to be some realignment because a lot of the tertiary education programs that we are offering are not relevant and current.
Yeah.
Right. For example, I'm sure you are aware, we have 1,000 odd schools providing tourism skills.
Yes.
I think maybe only 2 or 3 are relevant. So parents also must not push their children to be certificate collectors.
Yeah, that's, I totally agree. So as you said that we have to upgrade the skills, and also the knowledge base has to be changed onto the skills and also entrepreneurship. But when you say entrepreneurship, I wonder whether we have that entrepreneurship programs for, because our all these programs starts from the 30s and 40s, right? So how can, I mean, because you are into all these professions and everything, I'm asking, how can Sri Lanka suddenly shift that skill development into the schools? Because we don't see it's happening. Still, we go on grades. How do you think we
Yeah.
should?
So the school to the employment pathway, I mean, there are a lot of potholes in that now.
Yeah.
I think somebody needs to start addressing those.
Okay.
And I think the private sector can play a big role in providing internships for young kids in school. Like now in Germany, if you ask children where would you like to go to university, they will tell you very clearly, we prefer to do internships.
Yeah.
And do vocational training. Because, for example, the guy who does your plumbing and your electricity makes more money
Yes.
than, say, a public servant.
Agree.
Right? So, for some reason, our mindset is parents want children to be their children to be doctors, accountants, lawyers, or engineers. Right? And
So it's a designation, I think,
yeah,
that matters,
it's
right?
a culture shift that we need.
Yeah.
You know, it's a more than a culture; it is a paradigm shift.
Yeah. So it's actually before we get into a school or educating the children, we have to educate the society to change their attitude towards these jobs. Am I correct?
Yeah, I think our value systems need to change.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you know that everyone is saying now the 5 years time our Sri Lankan economy will be not be good. So many of the Sri Lankans who has returned to Sri Lanka will be looking for jobs. Then they will be trying to match their earnings they were getting from there. And then again, when the job market is very low in Sri Lanka, people will go in a lower category to another country. How do you think we should be fixing this?
Yeah. So, like I said earlier, I think the port city is going to offer us a lot of new opportunities. So, I think we need to start building the skills now.
Yes.
So that we can cater to that new demand that will happen by 23, 24, 25. Yes. And also, if we can grow the export industry and attract more FDI into the country, like what Singapore has done, what Vietnam has done. For example, India gets 40 billion worth of FDI, and we don't even get a billion.
Yes.
Right? So I think unless we build the skill, because multinationals look for skills.
Yeah,
and also ease of doing business. I think addressing the ease of doing business is not a hard one, but building the skills pool is a big challenge. Now, for example, I remember 5 years ago, India said we'll have 100 million skilled professionals.
Yes.
So now they export them as well as they have talent internally. Yeah. Now, I'm sure you're aware that if you take the CIMA qualification, I think by within 2 years, 80% of them have already migrated to Canada, and so we are losing our best talent to countries like to Canada and Australia and England. Yeah. So we have to find a way of first keeping these people back.
Yes, agree.
Right. So as you rightly said, if the opportunities are not there,
people will, new generation, because I see a lot of young people. Yeah. I was at BMISH when I saw that IELT test, and I saw thousands of young people are coming, and then I asked, I was at an event, but I came out and asked them, why are you there? Then they said they want to migrate. So I was thinking, are we actually skilling all these young people to serve in another country? And we have to open that opportunity. But I think private sector is not yet ready to give that job market for the youth. How do you think? Because you are into international chamber, you are in private sector. How do you think the private sector?
So the important and the starting point is labor market reforms. I think the legislation needs to change. For example, you can't hire casuals.
Yeah.
Right. After 6 months, you are under pressure to take them in as permanent.
Yes.
Right. So then, as you know, you can't lay off people in a hurry. Right. Even in executive, you have to compensate. Now you have that flexibility in India and all that. That's why a lot of these multinationals have gone there. Right. So I think in terms of ease of doing business, I'm sure this government will address those issues. But we have to invest now in building our skills. Agreed. And we cannot lose the talent we have. We'll end up with the C's and the D's.
We will very soon. And the B's. Because as you rightly said, the port city has a lot of opportunities. Yeah. But when I went to Bangladesh, I saw them getting ready and skilling their employees to send it to Sri Lanka, while we have no idea what the port city is going to offer. And the government has a lot of skills development free programs, but it's not been marketed. So how do you think the government and private sector can get together and the partnership matters to Sri Lanka? How do you think it did? Because I'm asking, you have worked for government, you have worked for the private sector. How do you think
Yeah.
we should?
So the government, I think some years ago, set up these skill councils where you
Yeah.
have private sector and public sector, these executives
Yes.
as part of the policy formulation. I think we need to drive that. And also, one good thing that has happened now is that you see a lot of private sector people sitting in university boards also.
Yes, yes.
So hopefully the curriculum will change.
Yeah, that need to be
Right,
changed.
that curriculum needs to be changed, and we don't need these amount of arts graduates. I think
I totally agree
yeah,
with
we've been
you.
talking about it for a long time.
Yes.
Very little change has happened around that.
Yeah, I think that the percentage has to go down and all that. So I'll come back to you on the International Chamber of Commerce, because you are bringing a lot of professionals and exposure to Sri Lanka. So how do you think that International Chamber can make opportunities for young people to look at the global market and skill themselves, not just to import their knowledge, but also to bring that export back to Sri Lanka?
Yeah, so I think, as you rightly said, if we don't create the opportunity here, right, these young people are going to go away.
Yeah.
Right, because unlike in other countries, we don't have the social security system.
We
Where,
don't.
for example, in England and all that, you can afford to buy a house by the time you qualify as a
Yes.
qualify as a professional. Here, it takes a long time.
Yeah.
Right.
When you're
Yeah.
in 40s only, you
Yeah,
can get
yeah.
that.
So we have to create those opportunities. Now, for example, I believe the tech industry will provide a hell of a lot of opportunity if we can attract some
Yeah.
of these big tech companies. As you know, Millennium IT, they developed the system for the London Stock Exchange. So we
Yes.
have the capability. It's about creating opportunities for people. Right. I believe the tech industry will provide us a huge opportunity in the future. The pharma industry.
Yeah.
Right. Tourism will take a bit of time, because I think at least another 2 years before they recover.
Yes.
Then the BPOs, because we produce some of the best accountants, and we have a huge legal pool also.
Yeah.
Right, so-
I totally that. I'm coming
Yeah.
that way, because I see a lot of BPOs coming to Sri Lanka, but we do not see that professionals being recruited, right? Because we have, as you said, the legal, we have the professionals.
Yeah.
They are not, because when you say call center,
Yeah, yeah.
people think it's something
Yeah.
else. These concepts of these attitudes
Yeah.
has to change, and I think people like you all have to educate a lot of Sri Lanka to change it. How do you think the BPO can change this attitude in Sri Lanka?
Yeah. So you are doing a lot of great work around women empowerment and all that. It must start from there, because
Yeah,
I think
agree.
mothers take a lot of decisions in the household.
Yes.
So if you can convince them that these BPOs are really KPOs, knowledge centers,
Yeah.
right? That their kids can actually go there and make money and be safe. I think the shift will happen. I think that's where we have to start.
Yes.
We have to start telling parents, look, just because your son is a carpenter or a mason, it doesn't mean that they have no status and they can't make money. You know the amount, the shortage we have with electricians in this country.
That's the thing,
Yeah.
because the issue is, I think they do not, we judge people on what they dress
Yeah.
and what they drive. So that is one of the main issues. Coming back to you on these unskilled youth
Yeah.
who are ending up as three-wheeler drivers, conductors, and also some of them are now. Sri Lanka has a huge problem with drugs, and they are mostly the age below 25 years. So they are the skilled people are there. How that unskilled people, like unskilled youth, can be transformed to youth. They may not have the education background, but they are very skilled on other things. How can we change that?
Now, for example, I remember NHRDC, we did a study about 2 years ago. There are 1.2 million trishaw drivers.
Yeah,
I believe
okay.
only about 650,000 people are doing it full time. And when we started looking at that data, we found that about 20-30%, or even maybe about 20% were graduates.
Okay.
So you and I are not paying taxes to send these young kids to university to become trishaw drivers. No, they
Yeah.
must contribute to the GDP.
Yes,
Right.
of
So
course.
we suggested at that time that let them work because it's easy money, and they like the lifestyle because they don't work for anybody.
Yeah.
Right. But part time to retrain them in some skill.
Yes.
So that maybe they do half a day drive in the trishaw, rest of the day they work in a factory and build a set of skills.
Yeah.
So I think we have to come up with a program, and I think the president is the best person to do this,
Yes.
where we actually have a targeted program for those trishaw drivers, because we cannot afford to have 600,000 trishaw drivers,
We cannot.
and some of
yeah.
them are educated.
Yeah, I didn't
Yeah,
know that.
and it gives
Shocked
them
me.
apparently status.
Yeah,
Driving a treasure. That's
it
what
give a
came out of
status.
the
Yeah,
that.
because
But
if you go to rural, if you have a three-wheeler,
yeah,
it's a status.
yeah,
As you said rightly, we have to find a way of
yeah,
these three-wheeler drivers. But again, I would say like Singapore, what they did was you can be a taxi driver if you are about 60 or something,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah,
Sri Lanka also need, because the
yeah,
accidents and young youth are
yeah.
dying every day. So that's
Yeah, I
something we
think
have
there was
to.
a recommendation that you have to be over 35 to be a treasure driver,
Yeah,
but for some reason they didn't implement it. You know, I thought I'll
please
share this
read.
quote with you with Jack Ma. You have heard of Jack
Yeah,
Ma? He said, you know, I told my son, you don't need to be in the top of the three in your class. Just be average and have decent grades. And he says, I don't want you to be an accountant or a doctor or whatever. Do something that you like Steve Jobs said. Follow your
yes,
passion.
yeah. Totally agree.
Yeah.
This is something that we as parents, but we think, okay, our parents also wanted us to educate, but they didn't push us. But nowadays, young parents are really pushing their children for competition,
Yeah.
but not for to be a happy human being. This is one of the major issues in Sri Lanka.
Yeah, yeah.
I think we have become like India, that India has so many graduates.
Yeah.
But in Sri Lanka also we have graduates, unskilled graduates.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm asking you, Dinesh, because I see you speak about economy, you speak about banking and financing. Sri Lankan literacy is very high, but finance literacy we are very low. And banks also speak about savings, but we don't say that we save after spending. Before spending, we don't save, right? It has been coming from my childhood. You spend and save something, but it should be save and spend. How the banking industry can change this?
Yeah, that's a very interesting point. If you take our parents, that generation, they saved,
Yes.
right? Somewhere down the line, they saved for us and we have started spending that money,
Yes.
right? So I think going back to your earlier point, I think it starts with our value system. And I think you are the best person to do this because you are dealing with mothers and they are big influencers in the house, right?
Yeah.
Because then it will help banks also to facilitate it. Because it's easy for us because attracting savings deposits is the best for the banks also.
Yeah.
Right? So we will be happy to come up with programs to attract savings. The other challenge we have is that a lot of people, the amount of money they make is not enough to meet all their expenses. So savings becomes a challenge for them.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
But to create this culture, I think needs to start at home.
Yeah.
And I believe that you all are the best people to do to manage this because you have your big base. Plus, you can influence. You have the credibility to influence.
Totally agree. So it has to start from home and
Yeah.
it has to start from value system, because without value system, a country cannot go forward.
Yeah. Just one more point
Yeah.
is I think we need to start developing the social responsibility mindset.
Yes.
I think these young kids have it, fortunately, but I think our generation also, a lot of people don't have it. They
Yeah.
believe first I must look after myself. Like going back to what John F. Kennedy said many years ago.
Yes.
So I think if we can create that mindset, at least with the young people, that they have to look after their community and be part of that community, I think it will be good for Sri Lanka.
Yes, that's I agree, and I think the new our young youth is more onto the social responsibility, and they believe on community, where we were more on self-centered. I think that culture, our background was the reason. So Dinesh, thank you for coming, and actually you gave, I think one of the eye-openers was the three-wheeler drivers. As you said, value system is more important and we need to shift from this knowledge base into the skill, and how the technology can come forward, and how we have to create opportunities to retain I think the best skills in Sri Lanka, rather than we educate and sending them out to benefit for other countries. So ending this, Dinesh, what is your message to our parents or the society about, the getting Sri Lanka back to normal and getting the economy run, and how we should shift ourselves to face the challenges?
Okay. I'll start with the youth. My message to them is very clear. Don't be certificate collectors.
Okay.
Build skills.
Okay.
Competencies are important more than spending years and years collecting certificates. Right? And follow your passion. And for God's sake, be patient. Because you can't become a CEO overnight. You have to invest that time to get there. And to parents, I think it is important to understand the new trends and help the children to understand that and support them. And I think as a country, I think we need to make sure that we go back to our traditions and value those, because we should not be complaining at everything about
Yeah,
everything.
agree, yes.
We are very good at complaining about
Complaining.
everything
Yeah.
without doing our part, right?
Yes.
For example, now the country is facing a big challenge.
Yes.
Together only we can come out
Yeah.
of this crisis.
Agree on that. So, as he said, don't be a certificate collector, and parents, think about your child's future. And also, as a country, if you want to come forward, we have to come as a community, not as an individual. Thank you so much, Dinesh, for
Thank
joining
you. Pleasure
us.
talking to you. Thank you very much.
Be tuned to Daily Mirror Online.